Hello, here we are. Now we're going to do the streaming in English this time because with me I have the expert, Mark Ouaki, who is a colleague of mine in the Europe Chess Club. And since I found out that it's not so easy to just keep on talking on your own for hours and hours, we're going to do this together, which means that we'll do it in English, but I'm guessing that all of you are fine with that. And as always, you are more than welcome to type things into the chat, and you're welcome to type just to see that everything's working as it should. As usual, I have 400 different windows here in front of me, which means that I have to be a bit lucky to hit the right thing here. So we're gonna just check to begin with whether this is working as it should. Here we are. One person is watching. Wonderful. Please write something.
Looks like it's working.
Yeah, I think it's working. I think it's working. And before we even started, there was a draw on the top board between Adrian Söderström and Erik Blomqvist. Mark, what do you think about the final position here? Does it look drawish? White is to move. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you can just play quiet and it's gonna be pretty hard to move in this way.
Yeah.
You could play on, I guess, but
yeah.
I guess they played some kind of George line. Can I see the game?
Yeah, sure. So this is how it started. D4, and Erik Blomqvist is a grandmaster, so he's much higher rated, but he had the black pieces. So pretty normal start here to the game.
Yeah. C5, okay.
So white getting the pair of bishops.
C5, interesting.
Yeah.
Queen h3, queen h5.
Yeah, makes sense, huh? So you'd have to play bishop d2, right? b4 can't really be played.
Yeah, like this bishop.
Then
takes. Queen takes c5.
And here, apparently, Erik Blomqvist, the grandmaster, offered the draw, but it makes sense, I think.
Yeah, he does have the black pieces, but is he tied for first place?
Yeah, he's tied for first place. Or actually, Adrian is tied for first place. I don't think that Erik is tied. I'm going to look at the... now... Oh, no, sorry, that's the old, actually, results. Let's have a look to cooperate here. Well, we'll come back to that, but I think that yeah, exactly. Here we can see that Erik Blomqvist is. They're both tied. Exactly, yeah. It was a 5-way tie before this round, so they were all tied. Yeah.
Okay, and obviously playing for the draw with black is like understandable, right?
Yeah.
But if you're higher rated and you are in a 5-way tie, it's probably not gonna win you this tournament. But
yeah. Yeah, Erik maybe should actually have played on, and you can see here that this is the tie-break points, so that Erik has 40, but actually Hampus is the one who has the best with 41. So if he makes a draw or more, then he will pass by. And I think we can go to Hampus' game because there is no draw yet anyway. He plays black. Let's see from the beginning. Yeah. 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 So no Marshall Gambit there. Yeah. And then they come into this. Is it the
Briar line.
It's the Briar line, exactly. Yeah. So it's a pretty normal theoretical line here.
Point is 90 cents to 5.
Yeah.
5 to the center. C6, okay.
C6, yeah. Keeping B5 protected.
It's
Yeah. Now we get visit here from Anita, who's the owner of this place. Yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, it's such a complicated strategic material, right?
Yeah.
So it's hard to know exactly what's the best.
Well, I'm sure they have prepared this line though.
Yes.
Quite how do you say that? Quite
Theoretical.
thorough studied line.
Yeah, well studied. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, that looks like a position concession.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. I mean, why would you want to do that, really? But yeah, then comes an exchange on E5.
Okay, things. This take like nice moves and looks like bishop f4.
Yeah, this is an interesting position. I mean, it feels like white can advance, play f4 and.
I think white got quite a lot of play for that trade.
Yeah.
So it's unclear where do you put the bishop? Bishop is 6.
Yeah.
But the rook is kind of awkward.
Maybe the rook has to go back first to e8 or something, but it feels a bit slow, a bit passive.
You lost a lot of time as well. And
Yeah.
you have a small structure, so it's gonna also really matter. So imagine knight f4, knight b6, or bishop b6.
Yeah. So maybe black has a little bit the back against the wall here already.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
I'm sure it's fine for black, like it's not losing or anything,
no.
but definitely I would prefer white. Yeah.
We could take help and have a look at what the computer has to say. And it says plus 0.6, so it's not like a huge advantage for white, but a little bit more convenient position.
Yeah.
So here the black went straight back with a rook to e8 because it's a bit exposed on e5.
And it's hard to take up the bishop if you can do it.
Yeah. So Mark, what is your suggestion? What's white's plan here? How do you want to position the pieces?
And you have to obviously have to decide between something like either start the attack immediately with some f4, but probably not gonna do much yet.
Yeah.
Queen d2 is interesting. It prevents g6.
Yeah.
Which is probably a move you want to play as black.
Yeah.
And also it prepares for example rook ad1. And pioneer on the d6 pawn, maybe bishop f4 next. Yeah, also you kind of have to prevent the d5 break, so it makes sense to double up on the d5.
Yeah, and it's hard to know how black should deal with this position. As you say, you may want to put the bishop over on g7, but it's not really so easy to do that.
Yeah.
And do you want to play bishop b8 or rook b8 and want to exert some pressure down the b file, perhaps?
If white is queen d2, then pawn is gonna be defended anyways. But okay, let's say queen d2 b8. Can even play b4 probably.
Yeah. Yeah, so maybe queen d2 is actually the move for white here. But should we keep looking at the other games, perhaps?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Okay. It's hard to see to hear what Mark is saying. I think you have to talk louder.
I try to talk louder.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. Yeah. And now we have some, because we're not really sitting in the most exquisite studio environment. There are people walking back and forth and talking quite loud in the vicinity. But okay, you have to. I hope you guys hear what we say. If you don't, you have to let us know again, and we will make more efforts. Okay, perfect. So let's have a look at game number 3, Jungmin Seo against Hugo Wernberg. And Jungmin Seo had, he's a very strong player. He's been Swedish champion. He's a young guy from Korea. And Hugo is up and coming. He played really well the last game and won a nice game. So here we also have Roy Lopez, I think, the Spanish.
Looks like it.
Yeah. And so let's go back from the beginning and see what happened.
It was 5 points here, right?
What, say again?
There's one that is fighting for first place here.
I think Hugo is among the ones fighting for first place. Let's have a look here. Yes, exactly. He's one of the leaders. So Hugo with black here is one of the people fighting for first place. Okay. Error. YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming. This is difficult. With this poor streaming status. That's not a nice thing to hear. So at the moment we have 2 viewers, and I understand that people perhaps don't want to see so much if the video is poor.
It looks kind of laggy.
Yeah, it looks sketchy. Oh, maybe I made a mistake there. So what happened here? I'm going to take a look. The streaming quality looks okay right now, says Magnus, which is good. But now I'm wondering what's happening here. Connect. So, can you see anything from us right now, guys? Please write something in the chat so that we know. We're going to see here. Well, it looks like things are working, but this is the very beginning of it all. I'm going to click live. Okay, let's hope that it's working, and you'll just have to write and let us know whether it works or not. Here seems really fishy, but okay, never mind. So let's go back to the beginning of this game, and we have here the Roy Lopez again. Similar, but in this game, is this called the Möller or the Archangelsk or something? Möller, yeah. I think you have to speak really loud.
Okay,
yeah.
Möller, yeah.
Yeah, good, exactly. I think this is Möller, yeah. C3, D6.
No Marshall.
No, nothing like that.
A4, so flank attack. And that's a line I play quite a lot as well.
Ah, you do? Yeah. So can you tell us what are the secrets about this line? What do you have to keep in mind?
I mean, usually when I play this, it's quite like difficult to prove anything with whites because like black is very, very solid in this line.
Yeah.
Especially if you play rook b8 and not like bishop d7, bishop b8, b7, sorry.
Yeah.
I think, if I remember correctly, there were some games in the World Championship between Carlsen and Nebo played that followed that line as well.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
And after 8x b5, usually you have like a couple of options. You can play h3, bishop e3, or knight d2, or rook e1. Or this is playable move. I usually go rook e1, knight d2, knight f1, and then either bishop e3 or knight g3 and knight f5.
To exchange the bishop on c5?
Yeah.
Yeah.
is quite strong, but the bishop g5 is also a
Bishop
move.
g5 came here in this variation.
h6.
Yeah,
And bishop h4. Okay, so commits the bishop on the king side.
yeah.
And after g5, now the question is, do you take on g5? I think it doesn't work in this man. So he goes
No.
back with bishop g2.
And this is a theme that Daniel King has been talking about a lot, to provoke black to play g5 and then to put a knight on f5.
Yeah.
So, well, it will take a couple of moves to get there, but it's an idea, of course.
Problem is that here black also has a very transparent idea.
Yeah.
So
Namely,
like you can go, for example, queen e7, knight h5.
yeah,
Knight h5 immediately, knight takes on e5 might lose a pawn.
yeah,
So you go queen e7, knight h5, knight f4, and if you trade bishops, then you get a pawn on the f4. Probably take with the j pawn and then move the king and put g8. With the bishop still hiding the king side can be very dangerous.
yeah,
Also king g7 probably with idea rook h8.
yeah.
And then push h5, h4 to trap the bishop. Or again knight h5 is also possible. So
Yeah.
I mean black is not doing that badly, I would say.
Yeah, black has his ideas as well. Yeah. So rook e1
So we can
and g4. I think you mentioned that as an option.
it's an option.
Yeah.
Knight has to go to h4.
Yeah.
I think, which is probably okay because you want to go to f5 anyways.
Yeah. And then knight e7 followed by knight f1. And now if you put the knight on e3 and it doesn't get captured, then you have two knights that can go to f5 even.
Yeah. Knight h5, okay, logical.
Yeah.
Knight e3, and okay, it takes immediately. I don't know if taking immediately is probably a bit too hasty.
Yeah, because the white bishop isn't going to go very far anyway, right?
So, yeah, you can just keep the tension and
yeah,
probably take it at a more opportune moment, but okay. I mean,
yeah. h5, d4.
D4, so principal idea when your opponent's attacking on the flank, you try to break the center.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Takes.
Takes, and the computer is not too happy about the taking there.
Yeah,
maybe.
Probably a very big central concession, right?
Yes, opening up. Yeah, for the white center suddenly becomes much more mobile. So yeah. That's interesting. I think this is where we were when we had a look. And then there's been a queen move and c5 as well. And so the question is, how do you do this the best? If you, for example, take on c5, then does the bishop take back perhaps to open up its scope a bit?
If you take with the bishop, terrible construction, I would say.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So, I mean, if you.
But if you take with the pawn, then.
Then your bishop is so great.
Yeah.
But you're gonna play c4 eventually.
Yeah, that's right. I was thinking about the queen c3 check, but then of course you can put the black queen on d4.
Yeah.
And yeah, you don't get very far with a white attack that way, I guess. Yeah, this looks a bit hard to judge. I mean, how are you going to do this now with white? Are you going to take on c5 and try to open up?
I mean, I don't like it, but I don't know if you really have a choice.
No.
Because c4 is coming.
Yeah. And I guess you want to put rook on d1 then also to. You're a bit slow as white. White wants to move the queen out of the way and then put a rook on d1 quickly, but
maybe you can take on b5, no?
Maybe you can take on b5, yeah. You mean already or after?
Yeah, already.
Already now.
And you let him take on d4, then you take on f5 because the queen.
Oh yeah, that's an interesting idea. Yeah, I mean you.
It has to be calculated.
It has to be calculated, and But you undermine the black advances on the queen side that way. So it's not such a bad idea.
If it works, it may be very good.
Yeah. What do you guys say in the chat? Do you have any idea what the white should be playing here? What the Jungmin Seo should be playing? It should also be said that Jungmin Seo is a very, very sort of a meticulous positional kind of player. He doesn't want to just throw himself headlong into tactical. Yeah. So he usually wins, but he wins long games. So the question is, perhaps Hugo has read him correctly and given him this little trap, positional trap. Does he want to jump into it? But maybe it's not a trap. Maybe it's just a good thing for white to do.
You have to consider though after queen takes b5 f4, right? That might be a problem.
Which one? Queen takes b5 now, and then what? And then f4. Okay. Can't you just take it? G takes f4.
Take on d4 and d3 is probably very strong.
Aha. Oh, that's very clever. That's an interesting idea. Let's see here if let's see if anyone is actually watching. 3 people are watching. Fantastic. This is an increase with a couple of 100% from just some minutes ago. So yeah. Okay, maybe we should leave this position and move to next round. Bengt Lindberg, International Master against Ralf Åkesson, Grandmaster. And they have produced something, this classical structure with D takes E4, which can come from French and which can come from Caro-Kann and from something else. In this case, French. Yeah, Ralf has played this Fort Knox variation.
Trading bishop b7. That's a very rare variation.
Yeah, but it can be. It has occurred in some. I know it. It was played in the women's World Championship match a couple of years ago, and if you play it correctly as black, it's not so easy to crack the nut.
Yeah.
But you have to take at the right moment with your bishop.
Yeah.
So you're not stuck with the bishop and all the knights are gone. That's a bit sad. So here he takes the last chance. Maybe white could otherwise have played knight e5. So take, c6. And then the structure is formed like we saw in the end.
You know Max, of course.
Yeah, we're getting visitors here. People are coming in our stream, but it's very nice to have them visit. Yes. So here.
Trading the knight.
Yes, and g3. So this is. Wouldn't you agree that white is a little bit better because white has the pair of bishops and a little bit more space.
Center also controls.
Yeah.
Better. Though, like, the bishops are not quite as good now because the center is like kind of closed still.
Yeah.
But if you can play d5 at some point, then it's gonna be very, very strong bishops. But yeah, it's gonna be hard to play d5 now.
Yeah.
Probably like a 6 coming and.
My guess is that they're going to play another like 20 moves here where nothing much happens. And then when they come down to the time trouble, then things are going to develop.
I mean, it does look like a really quiet line, right? And quiet game now. Gonna probably be a very long grind.
Yes. I'm guessing as well, probably. Yeah. Okay, let's see. Something happened there.
Yeah, something.
So the bishop went back to b1 and black played c5.
F5 so
Oh yes, f5 was played as well. That's right. Yeah. So actually, black is not content with just sitting back and doing nothing.
yeah, they're trying to make something happen. Okay,
Yeah.
I mean, it does look quite interesting.
Yeah.
Although you do give white the what he wants, which is open the center, right? So,
Yeah. So now, for obvious reasons, you can't play d takes c5 at the moment. So perhaps you play bishop c3 or something, and then eventually there will be an opening, and black will probably try to advance e5 later. But it's also a little bit dangerous for the black king eventually.
Yeah.
Here comes the owl again. But he prefers to stay out of the picture this time. Okay, let's move on. And we can see on table 5, Leo Krevatin, very talented young player, against Julius Schwarz, who is the sensation of this tournament because he was leading after the, not this last round, but the one before that. But then he lost. So now he will probably try to especially with black, he will try to keep his position equal as far as he can, because in the last round he played an opening which was very strange, and he was just completely crushed. He was sacrificing his, he was giving up his black squared bishop with black for the knight on c3, and then he played f6 and knight h6, and yeah, he was just completely squashed by Vilka Sirpila, who's now on board too. But this time it seems much more normal, and let's go back and look at the position. Is this a rather modern, shall I say, idea of yes, and playing with the queen c2. It's not very aggressive, but it's supposed to be very safe and pretty good.
Solid. I
Yeah.
played this a couple of times with black, and
Yeah.
it looks very, very solid for both sides.
Yeah, yeah. But you stopped playing it? You don't play it
I
anymore?
don't play it anymore because I'm trying to win with black, so
Yeah.
there's not a lot you can do here.
No, that's right. Yeah.
With this, but yeah, it's solid opening.
Yeah. And here you make it possible to play bishop f5 eventually.
Yeah. Early trade and bishop f4.
Not so common, right?
No.
Usually in this variation you rather try to play g3, I think, as white.
Yeah, g3, bishop g2, or like, I think it's probably going for knight c3 and try to fight for the c file, but I mean, on knight g2 also possible.
Yeah.
But there is a lot of how do you say, a lot of sidelines in this variation, which when you have you have to know these lines. There are a lot of small differences that can matter a lot, but yeah, I think I'm more familiar with plans with g3, but
yeah,
I know that this also exists.
Yes. Yeah. All right. So here, rather normal development.
c3 and it's going for 5.
Yeah.
e3.
Because I mean, now in this exchange variation, for black, it's not so good really to have his bishop on g7 because it will just hit on this d4 block.
So bishop e2. Not sure. It's bishop e2, bishop d3, which is the main move here.
But bishop d3, then you could run into knight b4, no?
Knight b4, yeah.
So probably bishop e2. So now black starts chasing the other bishop instead.
This is very common.
Yeah.
And bishop f5.
Yeah. And
What do you
now
want to
there's
do
a threat against d5.
I want to do this now.
What do you want to play as black here? I mean, you could play, and also there's a threat against b7 as well. d5 and b7. It's not so convenient. But I mean, black must have thought of this when he played the way he did. Yeah. So a threat to this bishop, which goes back, then taking it away, and now eventually, yeah. But now you sacrifice on b7. Is this really good? And here we are. So what does black do now?
This I'm not exactly convinced. Queen d6 was kind of weird, but probably you had no choice. Yeah, of course you're gonna get some counterplay on the b file, right? But
Yeah.
you're probably gonna play for the b and c files now.
But right now you can't even move the knight. You'd like to play knight b4 or something like that, but so what really do you do? Do you play rook fb8 or something?
Probably rook a b8.
Rook ab8,
If
okay.
you keep the rook on f8 to come to c8 probably.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's unlikely that you're gonna need this rook on a8.
Hmm.
So probably rook a b8, and if something like b3, then rook b6, and you can maybe even double up on the b file, or just go rook c8 still.
Hmm.
White still needs some tempo to castle and bring the rooks, so maybe.
Yeah, right now the queen doesn't have too many squares.
Yeah, also you have to be careful not to shoot the queen.
Yeah, so maybe this is a good idea. This is worth it to sacrifice a pawn to put the white queen out of play like that.
Yeah, I'm sure he probably looked it up. Otherwise he would have gone for it. I mean, we are still quite early in the opening.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I would say rook a b8 looks fine. Also you can maybe consider some like breaks in the center immediately. But
You're right. Yeah, e5 could come at some point, but at the moment it's not really possible.
It's not possible.
So probably you'd have to play the rook over b8 to b6, kick away the queen to wherever it's going to go, a4 something. But also it's not obvious how white should defend his pawn on b2.
Yeah.
You don't really castle long. That looks a bit strange.
I probably just lost if you castle on right.
Yeah.
Comes to c8 and then b4.
So probably you have to play b3.
The b3 does look quite shaky, right?
It does.
You play rook b6 and rook c8, and all kinds of threat, knight takes d4, knight b4.
Yeah.
So maybe you just don't defend on b2 and you just castle.
Or what do you say about bishop b5? You attack c6. It still can't move, but then comes of course rook b6. Yeah.
b8, bishop b5, rook b6, queen a4.
Rook f8 or something.
Probably rook f8.
Yeah, the question is how much activity black is getting, and it's not obvious.
Maybe you can even go f8. If you take on c6, you take with the rook on c6, and you have a lot of compensation for the pawn.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, so maybe not so bad by Mr. Schwartz.
Yeah. I think he had it figured out.
Yeah, could well be. Yeah. All right, we work our way further down the list. We come to number 6, where the Grandmaster Tiger Hillar Persson has dropped his queen. Oh yeah, that happened now, as you said. He has dropped his queen twice in this tournament. He has just given it away for free 2 times, and he's a grandmaster. So it's not a happy tournament for him.
Definitely not.
And against Joar Östlund, who's quite a strong player, although of course not really grandmaster class. And here we have some kind of yeah, what is it? Wait, let's look.
Change character. Knight F2. Yeah,
Oh,
that's interesting.
this is an unusual way to play.
Yeah.
Oh,
I was gonna say you alone Knight before.
exactly. He's playing some kind of Bado Jobava with the black pieces.
Yeah.
Yeah. So knight A3, obviously. E6. Who knows? Well, I mean, it could work. So exchanging off the bishop.
That was a nice maneuver. Bishop B6.
Yeah, yeah.
F3 is kind of awkward.
That's true, yeah. And then, yeah, going back there, probably necessary.
Yeah,
if you don't want to change it off on C2. And the black knight goes also its own way to A6. So that's a bit funny. All the way back to B8 as well. I mean, it could have gone to C6 straight away. Did we miss something?
You probably take, because you didn't play E3 yet, right? So you probably take on C5.
Yeah, but if you go back now, then you just take back with the bishop. So no, sorry, that's not possible. It's a very unusual bishop on F2. You're right. Yeah, he had to do that.
Yeah, you have to do that.
Yeah.
And then after E3, now you can go to C6.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's funny. So bishop coming out there, threatening the rook on C8. Yeah.
I like black's position here.
Oh, you do? Yeah.
I mean, it looks very, what do you say? Like black is in control. I mean, the knight on F6 is kind of stuck, but on the other hand, bishop on F2 is not doing anything.
But you don't like the white bishop on H3, which has no opponent and which shoots down the diagonal.
Yeah, but it's not looking at anything. Like, I mean, probably not gonna influence the queen side the way things are going, because black is gonna dictate the queen side with b5.
Hey, our dear guests are complaining. It's hard to hear what Mark is saying. I think you have to speak even louder. Yes, and stronger. You have to think that they are all the way in Sweden.
I will put myself closer as well, so
Yeah,
maybe
good. Maybe that works. Yeah.
Maybe the microphone will pick up.
Yeah. So this is now black is on the move. So what do we say about the long-term prospects? How you like black, but what is black actually going to do?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Black, I would say, is on the advantage, but it's not clear what you do here.
Yeah.
B5 is probably still too early, right?
Which move?
B5.
B5. Yeah.
Too early. You're gonna play it at some point, but right now it's not really
Maybe you want to play knight A5 and then you put the knight on C4 and then back it up with B5.
That's an idea.
Yeah.
I like it. You just have to make sure it doesn't run into any trouble. For example, if you bring the bishop to F1, because now the rook has moved. So let's say knight A5, you go bishop F1, knight C4, queen C2 maybe. But then still B5, right? Yeah.
Yeah, white has a problem in that this bishop on F2 is pretty lousy at the moment.
And that's not a good way to bring it out, really.
No. Maybe over E3 to F4 or something?
E3, F4, G5 as well.
Yes.
So your pawn structure on the king is quite open now.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So maybe you can start on G3. I should try to do this bishop E3. And also, if you go bishop E3, bishop D6 is always a move, I think.
Yes. But okay, let's say that you bring the bishop from f2 over e3 to g5, and then if necessary you can trade, and also it cannot be threatened. There's no h-pawn to threaten it, so it stands there, and then you can.
But you would do an exchange of useless pieces, right? Because the knight on f6 doesn't really have any future as well.
You're right, yeah.
So you're just gonna lose tempo trading pieces, which, okay, you don't want the bishop on f2, but the black don't want the knight on f6 anyways.
No. But I think that White has to feel the pressure to try to win this. I mean, he's a grandmaster after all.
Yeah. Okay.
So he must. But it's a bit strange with this pawn pair on the d file, because they are both potentially weak.
Yeah.
And if you sort of move your pieces so you can attack the other one, then your own pawn gets weak as well. So yeah, so that's a bit cat dancing around the.
Unless if you ever take the other pawn, then your pawn becomes a lot weaker because the d file opens.
That's right, yeah. So it's not sure it's even a good thing to take it.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on. We will look here at the Jonathan Westerberg, who is also a grandmaster, against Erik Dingert, who very nearly won the last game this morning, but then he made a mistake in the end game, which can easily happen, and it was a draw. So White has a pawn more. This should be winning for White, shouldn't it?
I mean, White is definitely much better.
Yeah.
The question is like just how much.
Yeah. Now you just protect b2 by playing rook b1 or something.
There's a problem here.
Yeah. What?
Rook b1, knight e2 check.
Ah, I was gonna avoid this thing by not moving my b pawn, but that doesn't help.
Yeah.
Good point. Yeah. No. It's guarded by the bishop on f5. I just saw now. So it's no problem.
But,
so rook b1,
rook b1,
check and take back, and then yeah. So it's no problem. So White actually can just simply play, and if the bishop is threatened, you just move it to c2, and it's no problem at all. So White has a clear pawn up and should win. This is what I think.
Yeah. I mean, you need some technique, right? But
yeah.
It's just also bishop versus knight is always a little bit better, so
yeah.
Gonna be difficult defense here. Probably just not possible to defend it.
No, probably not. Yeah.
With very good play from White.
Yeah. And White is a grandmaster, so I think that he will just simply put this in the bag. Let's have a short look at the game and see how we ended up here. Oh, it's Jonathan's specialty. I know he's played this before, and he has fantastic results with it, because the opponents get provoked and they don't really know how to react by this. Yeah. Okay. I mean, of course, objectively it shouldn't be very good, but in reality it seems to work out really nicely. So
I think you usually play d5, no? In this kind of.
You mean here?
Yeah.
D5. Yeah. Should be fine. I'm sure D5 is just fine. It should be equal. Yeah.
In some kind of like very similar lines, you usually play D5 immediately if you're allowed.
Yeah.
But maybe it should be from knight D5, you cannot play D5 anymore.
No. But this should be, I mean, of course, also equal, I guess.
Yeah. Nothing spectacular, right?
But you have to be careful. Suddenly you have moved the wrong piece to the wrong square, and like several things are threatened at once. So I guess there's something like that happened in the end. But so far,
White is already better.
Maybe White is better. You think so?
Yeah.
Why?
Because, I mean, your pieces are like way easier to develop, also already more developed, and The bishop on b6 is terrible. Bishop on a5 soon to go on b6 is really terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, you're just never getting the bishop into the game.
Yeah.
Probably need to play c6, d5, and then the c8 bishop is hard to develop. So
Exactly, and it takes a lot of time.
Yeah.
So while Black has just moved his pieces around here and there, White has played sound moves and gotten his pieces out.
knight
Or-
g6 is probably not even moving either.
No.
But I mean, okay, you do want to get rid of this knight on e5, right?
So now there's also the bishop pair.
Bishop advantage and going back to g4. h6, I'm not sure what that's move either.
No. No, I mean it was a threat of bishop g5, but he could have done something else, of course. But, yeah.
Could have moved the queen.
Yeah, to d6 or something.
d3.
Yeah, so White is just standing better for every move.
That can be good.
It looks fishy. And it's just so. The reason is just that now White enters on the 7th rank, which is very nice.
And you get like a very comfortable game bishop versus knight.
Yeah, and with extra pawn.
I don't think I know.
Yeah.
What if you go on b8? I mean, wouldn't you go on a2 maybe?
Here, you go to a2. Yeah, that would have been more active, definitely. Yeah, like this.
The opponent is defended, but you get something, right?
Yeah.
At least if you play the other rook to e8, you threaten checkmate.
Let's say you go here.
F1.
Then I guess you go here.
It's a more active position.
Oh, yeah. You have some kind of a counter play, even though it's probably not enough.
Probably White is still better, but
yeah,
it might be more active.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on again. Now we come to Tony Soppela against Rivas Reimanis. Tony Soppela has not been up in the top, so he must have played well the last couple of rounds. And he's a FIDE master, so he's fairly strong. And then you have the international master, Ritvas Reimanis, who has, well, he lost the last round, but he has been playing okay this tournament, I think. So this is before we go back to and look at the beginning of the game, this looks a little bit confused. What do we see here?
This looks much better for Black. Just like looking at the pieces and the position.
Yeah.
But if there is a tactical solution here for White, then you might be fine. But it looks really hard to figure out how you get out of this.
Yeah. Well, you have the two rooks standing on the third line or file.
The g3 is defended by the pawn. So
yeah,
can never go rook g3, which you probably want to do, but
yeah,
maybe there's nothing there still. I mean, f3 is kind of a choice, right?
f3 looks like a threat. f3, then you almost have to play g takes f3, right?
And you lose immediately.
Yeah, then you lose immediately, so that's not possible. So maybe you also have to get your queen out of the wrong square.
Either to get out to the queen or just to take on g4, but that doesn't look good for medicine either. Yeah,
okay, let's think. H takes g4, knight takes, rook takes. And now it's starting to feel a bit difficult.
Yeah.
I guess. But maybe you can just put your queen on f1 and you want to sacrifice the queen for two rooks.
I like this after take and just increase pressure with like queen g6 or
yeah.
Or even.
And how do you use the bishop on e7? You want to put that into the equation somehow as well.
Yeah. I mean, you can always play d5 after queen g6, right?
Let's see. D5 for black. Ah, yeah,
You
you're
can
right.
maybe show the line. So h takes g4.
Okay, yeah, let's look at this.
If h takes g4.
And white is at the move, so we have to do some stupid move first.
White takes on g4. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah.
what we were talking about. Sorry,
Knight
sorry.
takes g4.
Yeah,
Knight takes g4.
and queen takes.
Rook takes g4. And so, for example, if white plays a move like queen f1,
Yeah,
you go d5. Oh, first queen g6.
yeah. First queen g6, which threatens everything,
Threatens g2, and after like looks
and then you have to sort of back up with the rook.
probably with the other rook in case of d5.
Yeah,
And now d5, and that looks really terrible, no?
yeah. It looks difficult because you can't move the g pawn really, or can you? G3 looks completely suicidal.
Can you even just take on before and
Yeah,
trade the bishops, and then you trade just wins immediately?
yeah. No, that's right. So this looks difficult to say the least.
Probably cannot take on g4, cannot allow f3 either, so yeah, I don't know. Probably you have to move the queen somehow.
Yeah.
Maybe you can like kill some energy with queen a2, but
Queen a2?
yeah.
Ah, to exchange the queens?
Yeah. And
So,
if he trades, then you take with the knight at the end on h3 and you defend the g2 pawn.
yeah.
But doesn't have to trade a super. If he just takes on g3.
Or maybe he can play d5.
d5 also, yeah. But
Or I don't know if it's good, but it threatens to take on b4.
at least you kind of like delay the attack, right? With white
Yeah.
if he plays d5. Problem I'm seeing is g takes h3 here immediately.
Here, okay.
And how do you pair with this?
Let's say we take. Oi, but it's threatening on g2. Yeah.
That's also.
Oi. This looks difficult. So you almost have to take with the knight.
I don't know.
Do you take on g2 at once, or?
If it wins, yeah, I think it just wins immediately, right?
You
Rook
think
takes
so?
g2, queen takes, rook takes, king takes, queen g4 check.
Yeah. So let's say the king goes to h2, and then we're gonna
95, no, 94, sorry.
94.
That's just too many pawns, right?
Yeah, I should win for black, I guess. Well, of course you have to try your luck over here.
You hang the rook here.
No, sorry, the rook is hanging. No, this looks horrible. Yeah.
Let's see what I like this.
Yeah. Okay, this looks winning for black, but okay, we're gonna come back to this.
This miracle defense will happen.
Yeah.
You never know.
No, it can always happen. Yeah. And then we have come down all the way to the 10th table with Emanuel Sundin and John Paul Wallis. And how does this look? This looks like some kind of closed Sicilian, or I don't know, something like that. And black has gotten some space.
Yeah.
So usually white can attack on the king side, but that seems like a not very easy thing to do in this case.
In black side defend the center in time also it looks like it. So
Say again a little bit louder, I think.
I think the black solidified the center just in time with e5.
Yes.
Because if you could break the center, then white is like in good shape, but here
Yeah.
there's no breaking the center anymore.
No. Let's go back and see how this came about. Sicilian, closed Sicilian.
G3, G6.
Yes. And the black planting a knight pretty quickly in the center, which is convenient to do.
Yeah.
And now maybe you could imagine that you would want to play the bishop to h6, but it's a bit early because the knight can take on c2 later. So instead comes a rook here. Maybe it should have gone to c1. I don't know.
That's, I mean, rook e1, it has some sense, right? Because
Yeah.
you're gonna play f4 and probably open up the
Yeah.
f and e files.
Yeah.
So you probably don't want to bring the other rook to e1, but on the other hand, you're kind of leaving the queen side alone.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're just leaving it. And so now the knight had to go back to guard the b2, which is perhaps not what you want. Then kicking out the knight, of course, is always a good idea.
Yeah, I think he should have gone bishop h6.
It makes more sense. It's more to the point. It's more direct.
You're removing this very strong bishop, and it's like a very good defender with the king as well.
Yeah. And the question is also what else is it going to do right now on g5? It doesn't really have a purpose. It's just waiting to do something else.
Yeah.
d4, f4, f6, and now it turns out that it's too late for it to come up with other ideas. It has to go back, and then e5. And well, it's not just that I look at the titles of the players. It's also that I look at the position, and I don't. This feels like a closed Sicilian having gone wrong somehow.
Terribly wrong.
Yeah, terribly wrong even. Yeah,
that is quite.
I mean, you make the approximate moves that are supposed to somehow correspond to the plan in the position, but
I think if you wanted to go for this f4 idea, then bishop h6 was a must, no?
Yeah.
Because you have to trade it up before you play f4. Otherwise, you're just gonna like do nothing on h4.
Exactly, and now it's like, however now white is sort of stuck on the king side as well, because you can't play f5, then comes g5. You can't play g4 because then comes e takes f4 with a fork coming up. You can't. The only thing you can really do is f takes e5, which is not what you want to do, and it doesn't work either because then comes a g5 anyway. So white has sort of put himself in a position where he can't do anything.
Yeah, depends. And black has a lot of ideas here also.
Yeah.
I mean, you can play this hard, or you can play bishop e6. You can maybe even play h6 and g5. Does that work?
Maybe that could work, perhaps. Yeah.
I mean,
Which in that case is a real disaster for white if black can do that. Well, okay, we have gone all the way around, and I think we will go back to where we were in the beginning. Table 2. And here they have just slaughtered off everything, and this is going to be a draw, I'd say. Or no? Maybe white is better and can win?
Okay, white is symbolically better than white because of better pawn structure, but
yeah,
it would be.
I mean, can black play knight f4 and try to create some troubles even for white?
Knight f4, bishop e3 probably, right? Don't know how do you continue.
It's hard to see any way forward here for either
because
player.
Knight d3 looks a2, and okay, I mean, have a knight on d3, but white is perfectly fine.
Yeah. No, this should peter out to a draw, is what I would say.
I would say so.
Yeah.
But if anyone can push it, probably white.
Yeah.
But,
against the c6 pawn.
Yeah. But even if you win the c6 pawn, it should still be like holdable, I would say.
Yeah.
if you trade up some pieces, it's gonna be difficult to win.
Yeah. Okay, let's go down the list again. We come to Jung Min Seo against Hugo Van Berg, and that's not a complete draw. It looks very exciting and strange. What has happened here, really?
White is up
3 pawns.
Yeah, that's a lot of pawns.
Yeah. So let's go back a little bit here in the action to see what took place. We were here, more or less.
97, 91, so that we saw.
Yeah.
Knight h5.
Yeah, the knight took on g3. And then we came to d4 and e takes d4, which the computer was not too happy about.
Yeah.
And then came f5. Yeah, and we were here with c5. Yeah. And then white decided to take on c5. And then we were discussing how would black take back.
Yeah.
And it turned out that he preferred to take with a pawn. Yeah, we just kept the pawn structure a bit more controlled. And then, as you said, white took on b5.
Okay.
And then we were talking about, well, you were talking about f4.
Yeah, f4, which is...
And that is really what the computer likes, because I've learned now these arrows. The white arrow is what the computer likes,
Yeah.
and the blue arrow is what happened. So instead came this move, threatening the queen, which took yet another pawn. And
this was probably the mistake, right?
Yeah, must have been.
Taking the other pawn, also looking b3. What's happening there?
But what happens after rook takes b3? Yeah. Is there some kind of check, or why did that not happen?
You probably go rook d1, no?
Aha. But then bishop d7. But then maybe you can start checking on f5.
Yeah.
Check with one, check with the other. It looks like a really interesting variation anyway.
I think, yeah, white will be very happy, I would say.
Should we look?
Let's try. So look,
take here, and now pawn here, rook here, right?
Okay, d1, yeah.
And now you have to do this, right?
I think, yeah.
And now you take with one of these, maybe this one.
Yeah, probably this one.
Yeah, check. Obviously you have to take back, so we take again. And what does the king do in this case?
Maybe even take with the pawn, which is threatening rook e7.
Okay. Oh, looks horrible. Now black is in bad trouble. But okay, let's say you have to do something with this rook. I think you have to put it on e8 or f7.
G5 as well is gonna hit hard in some variations.
Which one do you like? Here?
Yeah, probably rook f7 is the only move.
Yeah.
And
Just gonna have to like this.
Should go.
What do you guys think in the chat? What do you think about this game between Jung Min Seo and Hugo Van Berg? Do you have any constructive suggestions?
Trying to calculate. Yeah, can just go f6 and break through immediately, but it might be too early.
Because you can't really take. Well, you can take with the queen.
Yeah, you can
because
take
it's
with
gonna
the
hang down here.
That's the problem.
Yeah. So, or maybe you shouldn't take with the pawn after all. Maybe you should take.
Just knight takes.
Oh, this is really hard to calculate.
Problem is gonna be queen d5 now. I mean, every variation really, whatever you do, queen d5 is gonna hurt.
Yeah, but I mean you can play like things like bishop a4 in that case, because then you guard the rook and the queen is not really hanging behind it.
Yeah, probably check. That, I mean, you have to figure out where the king is going first.
Yeah.
So you can go f7, you can go g8, obviously. So you probably have to go H8.
Let's look at this.
97 might end the game, right?
It looks very strong. Because now you have this threat, which is leading to mate very quickly.
So 96.
Yeah, you have that. Yeah. Well, okay. So let's go back to what happened in the game. He didn't take here,
Which is probably wise.
even though actually the white arrow indicates that that's what he should have done.
Then maybe there is some insane defense.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, really difficult to see. Anyway, he played the queen to d6. Here comes the check. Queen interposes. And then comes Jesus. Queen a7. This is just brain-breaking stuff. Because it's going to hang. I mean, if you take now on c3 and white takes back, then it's going to hang on b3 as well. Well, anyway, rook b7 was played.
I don't like this move, but
No, take.
Difficult to say what you can do.
Take. And now the check started. Check and check. And king up here. Queen went back. Wanted coming in on h6.
That's why you needed to create first, because now you take the queen.
Yeah. Here.
The king is in trouble now.
Really in trouble. But of course the knight is also hanging. So check here. Now it's not hanging though. Well, and this is here we are. And without looking at the computer, can we find a mate or a win for white? I mean, it's not completely obvious. And now the black queen is protecting quite a few important squares, and the black bishop on e4 is also helping out a bit. So and then you have your rook on e1, which may help out by taking on e4 at some point.
You could probably do it now. No, rook takes e4.
You think so? Yeah.
And
okay, let's say the queen takes back.
Queen takes back. And now the question is, do you go queen g7 or queen takes c7? You probably take on c7 first.
Okay, and then black can take on
they can take on
f5, but they have to take with the king,
yeah,
otherwise the rook will fall.
But I think queen f7 still, and you have no move. You have to go back.
Yeah, you're gonna drop the rook either way.
And there's no purpose for checking the end. So.
No, the king can hide on h2. Well.
Probably, yeah, rook takes e4. Don't see a difference, but.
Yeah, rook takes e4 is probably winning, but okay. Yeah, you're right, because the problem is also with the bishop on c7 is hanging. There are too many pieces hanging. The rook is hanging in the corner and the bishop is hanging on c7. And it's not really possible to save them while the king is out in the middle of nowhere and has no protection whatsoever. Well, this is looking good for Jung Min. And I'm gonna just... I haven't really figured out how I'm going to show you the standings, but Jonathan Westerberg has finished his final game, which must mean that he won simply against Erik Dingers. And that's what we were talking about exactly. It was this end game which was completely chanceless for. So that was too bad for Erik, who made a really nice tournament altogether, but who only collected half a point the last day in the two games from two pretty Well, it could have been 1 point even just in the first game, but now it turned out to be just a half one. But it's still a good tournament, so nothing to be ashamed of for Erik. Okay, now we will look at this French Fort Knox, and it has turned out that Black has expanded a bit. But was it worth it? That's the next question, because White has the complete control over the D file. Let's go back and look. It looked like this.
Yeah, that's my weapon.
Yeah.
22,
Takes. And now exactly he wanted to move forward with his E pawn, but the king up in the corner is going to be a bit airy. So
I mean, you did kill the bishop on B1 with this
good point.
E5, E4, so
Yeah.
you can just attack with the queen, right?
Yeah.
So if you just neutralize the rooks, then there is no problem with the king.
Well, but I mean, if you have time enough, you're going to be able to play A3, B4, C5, and then the bishop will wake up.
Yeah.
But of course, I mean, there are some holes in White's camp as well, and if the bishop manages to get out to another diagonal, then D3 is a hole, F3 is already a hole, and I mean, it's a grandmaster sitting behind the black pieces, so he's not going to sit down quietly and let himself be slaughtered.
Knight F10, H5, H4 is, I mean, very.
Yeah, that could be quite strong actually. But I mean, presumably the rooks on the D file will be chopped off, all of them, pretty soon. And then the question is, how do you deal with the rest?
I mean, even if you trade rooks with white, it's not gonna really help you, because usually the queen and knight combo is better than queen and bishop, especially in this case where the bishop is really not doing anything.
Yeah.
And you're just gonna be playing a piece down, most likely.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So the question is also, if black starts to exchange, maybe white will want to take with a pawn instead.
Yeah, I think at least you only hope you have to take with the pawn.
Yeah.
And at least you have a passed pawn and you can maybe store some trouble with it.
Yeah. But the black knight, you're right, the black knight has become much stronger than the white bishop.
Yeah.
So white is in sort of a predicament here in that way. So we have come to this position, but it doesn't change so much on the about the strategic valuations and what you have to do with the position later on.
He did play A3, but A5 very like just to kill completely this idea of B4.
Yeah. And now if you want to play B4, then you have to put the bishop over on A2 to support C4 probably. And it's an inconvenient maneuver which takes a lot of time.
I think this is preparing this knight F2, H5, H4 as well, so it can do rook H8.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, exactly. That's.
And if that happens, you're gonna have to trade the rooks, right?
Yeah.
And then black will simply be better.
Yeah. Good point. Yeah, Ralph is in the driver's seat here. And we have another final result here, and that's in this game, Tony Soppola, Ritva Sreimanis, we were talking about, and it didn't last much longer. Yeah. It just lasted like a couple of moves more, and then it was just completely over. This is how it looked.
So yeah, he took on G4.
He took on G4, exactly.
But
take. And now he tried to play G3, was hoping for F takes G, so he could hide his king for a couple of moves at least. But black wasn't so kind. Yeah, D5, like you were talking about. Yeah.
Kills immediately.
Yeah. Take, and now even stronger to go to F5, but this was good enough.
Yeah, because now you allow the trade of queens, so.
And this was just complete disaster, apparently. And maybe that was because of taking G3 or what?
Yeah, just take on G3.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just game over immediately.
But yeah, because it's gonna be okay.
You can have your
Take. But can't you just walk away here to
you
F8
mate it,
or
no?
something?
Finish one.
No, I think it's just
I know you can go finish one.
so
Yeah,
simple
you
that
just
you
take and take. Yeah.
you win a piece this way.
Yeah.
Well, so that was it. That game is over also after a beautiful performance by
Very good attacking game by Black.
yeah, beautiful.
It was,
Yeah.
difficult to see how to get out of this.
Yeah.
Probably not
We never
possible.
looked at the beginning of this game. Maybe we should just have a short look. King's Indian
King's
and with the
Indian.
Bishop G4 variation.
Oh, that wasn't good.
Which one? Knight B5 wasn't very good.
Taking on F3, why would you take on F3? It doesn't make sense.
Maybe because you're afraid you're going to lose your knight on D4? Or you mean you could take it on B5 instead?
You could take probably on B5, and that
Yeah.
would be probably better. But
Yeah.
I think he was scared about this, like the C5 opening up.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, it could be.
I mean, I'm sure it's still fine.
Yeah.
It's not gonna change a lot, but.
And now Black started the attack here. This is like
just too slow.
King's Indian 101.
Yeah.
Just getting all the things in that you want.
And also played F4, which I think he should have played C5 immediately.
Yeah.
But okay, then of course he's gonna take, and it's hard to see how you proceed.
Yeah. And now Black getting everything over on the king side, and well, this was the end. So this was just a one-way ticket to the end.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, and let's see what this was. Yeah, this is the same one, and it turned out that White eventually took on F5 so that he could. Oh no, he played G5 actually.
Yeah,
this is what happened. Yeah. And here, can't you just take on F4? No, because you can take with the
knight.
Yeah, but what happens actually? Oh yeah. Yeah, it's a bit careless to put this bishop on E6.
Let's
no?
go back. Why if you put the bishop on E6 immediately?
Yeah, that's a bit pointless.
So knight F2. So what?
Now he did this. Why?
So what was wrong with H6 and G5?
Yeah.
So probably doesn't work because he didn't play, but I just don't see it.
Well, they don't always play the best moves. We've seen that.
It's true.
Yeah. No, but H6 exactly. Threatening to play G5. I mean, what do you do as White?
Because if now you play G4, then you take on F4.
Yeah, and then you play G5 and you just keep that extra pawn, and you have a magnificent square on E5 as well. No, I think that H6 here would have made a much more sense. Simply strange. He didn't do that. So now it doesn't really. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know where you put the queen on C7. It was just better on B6, right?
Yeah. Some strange moves here. Not obvious exactly why they would do these things. And now, I mean, still not fantastic for White, but much better than just a few moves ago, right? Yeah.
But still, Black is much better here. Probably B5 is coming, and gonna be difficult. I mean, B5.
Yeah, and there's a huge traffic jam on the king side with all the pieces that don't really have any purposeful place to go.
Problem is that there are so many pieces, and Black has so much more space that it's very difficult to maneuver with White.
Yeah. And I mean, even if you manage to move some of them, where are they gonna go? Like if you put first of all, I mean, bishop. Yeah, like
too soon.
Yeah,
there is no threats still. So
now White. I don't think White has a plan. I don't know what the plan would be. But then again, I mean, black also has to find something to do. But the b5, right? Then opening up on the queen side and starting.
D3, I think it was probably going for knight d1, knight b2, knight a4, and in the same way you trade rooks, so you diminish the advantage of the space.
Yeah.
Because less spaces on the board means that space advantage is not that significant.
Yeah.
But I mean, you should have started with knight d1 then.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah. Or maybe just knight d1 and then just exchanging some rooks on the f file and then
exactly.
no real plan, hoping for the best.
And you just exchange and
yeah.
Then, I mean, if we exchange favors white here, probably.
Yeah. And you can play perhaps h4. I mean, the g3 bishop becomes extremely bad, but you play h4, king h2, and then you, with a knight on f2, you try to exchange the white squared bishops, which the white one is very bad, on h3.
It's gonna be a tough battle because in probably most endgames, black is still better, right? So
yes.
even if you manage to trade, it's not gonna improve really your position.
Yeah. So, one look here. Let's see. So 3 of the, or I should say 4. Yeah. And Jung-Min Seo won his game, this one.
Yeah.
And it was just complete destruction here at the end. Yeah. Check. Yeah. King here. Knight went back, and now it looks really hard to survive. F4.
Probably not necessary, but yeah, it's still just completely winning. Knight f2 and you just lose the queen.
Yeah. And then taking there, yeah, I mean, it's just over. Yeah. Okay, yeah, so that was also another interesting game where there were some subtleties that we didn't quite understand. Why did black not take on b3? And why should he perhaps have taken on b3? Now maybe it's the time to find that out.
Let's go back.
Let's look. Okay, so it was here. And now we can put on the computer and it says +6. But why shouldn't then black take here?
This one to d1, okay.
This one to d1, okay.
Because you keep the rook on the open file.
Yeah.
Rook e7 probably.
Yeah, the rook has to go back. You give up the queen.
Yeah,
that was a bit hard to understand. But what would have happened if he had done this then?
Yeah, rook e7.
Rook a7, yeah. And now it's just the murder because the white heavy pieces are attacking from all directions at once, so it's absolutely impossible to defend. So after this, it's like +10 is not really much to analyze anymore. No.
Even just wants to be sure.
Yeah.
Yes, nothing you can do.
Yeah. Okay, let's look at this, number 2. And there's a check.
He did take on c6 in the end.
Yeah.
But he gave up f2. So
yeah. But as we said, I mean, this should be a draw.
Yeah.
And now there are just fewer and fewer pieces on the board, so there is really nothing much to do. And here we have this one again. One pair of rooks has been traded off.
You have to do this as
yeah.
That's why. But I think it's black that took on d5, right?
Yeah, black took on d5, exactly. And now he even wants to take off the other pair, but that's a bit like we were talking about as well. That there's not going to be so much fun.
Problem also is that if you take on d5, you should just lose, right? Because you take back, you drop the bishop. So.
But how about? Oh yeah, you can't do queen d4 then. Oh yeah, you can actually because it's pinned. Yeah. So how about queen d4?
But queen d4, I think you take turn on d5.
Yeah, you have to take on d5.
And you take with the pawn, then probably king f7.
Yeah.
Oh no, because d6 works. Does it?
Check. Take. It does work actually.
Yeah, it does
Yeah.
work. So maybe queen d6 and then you go king f7.
Queen d6 and then king f7. Yeah. So black is better here. Here, have we agreed?
Yeah, black is better, I think. How you try to play this?
Yeah. So white basically has perhaps to do queen d4 and then comes rook takes rook. Pawn takes rook. No, but I mean there's a bishop hanging on c2 as well. We can't forget about that. So king f7, d6.
Knight is playing queen c2, right?
Then you check on f3, king g2, or where do you want to go really?
Yeah, king g2, queen takes c2.
Yeah.
And if there's no proposition, you just lost.
For
white. I think we can put it on the board, right? Queen d4.
Okay.
And
Queen d4.
Take on
Oh, we have
d5.
to take.
Takes, king f7.
King f7 exactly. And now
d6, knight f2 check. And after king g2, queen takes c2, and
oh, yeah, because we're going to take the queen
yeah,
anyway.
we're gonna take the queen.
So d7 is not really of any use. And now we have an extra knight, and white probably can't. No, white can't have any perpetuals.
But maybe you don't play d7 immediately. Maybe you just check first, right?
Uh-huh.
Give a check, then king e8. You're still down the piece.
This looks a bit dangerous. I don't know. I'm not sure if I can recommend this for black.
Oh yeah, right. Oh yeah.
No, this doesn't work.
No, this doesn't work.
No, so I probably it's not really safe to allow the white queen and pawn to be alone with a black king.
Yeah, we can check. I mean, this check is very annoying actually.
Yeah.
So maybe you just don't take on c2. Maybe you just
Yeah, like this. And now what do you do?
win.
Well, I mean, of course you can play queen d7, but yeah, I mean, it's not really very pleasant now that the white pieces have sort of come to life here.
Yeah, b4, so maybe openings.
Because I mean, if you could get your queen to g1 in one move, that's nice, then you win. But the white pieces, no, I want to say the black pieces are not really cooperating right now.
You have to play queen d6 first, I think, and then play knight f3.
You mean here?
Yeah, before that. Yeah, before king f7, yeah. So after takes, you play queen d6, you prevent this d6 idea, and then king f7.
Yeah. Okay, so now, now white has a problem here because the pawn is really efficiently stopped.
Yeah.
And you can't really break the blockade very easily. So this is not so nice for white.
But at least you get to play b4 here.
Yeah, you do get to play b4. Take, let's say.
Let's say king f7.
King f7, so we can threaten our fork.
Maybe even bishop d1.
Mhm.
And then you transfer the bishop to e2.
Okay.
And
In
you
order to do what?
just to like dominate the knight, and
Yeah.
then probably bishop b5 at some point. And I mean, I don't see how black can make progress here. If the
No.
bishop flanks on a2, then you can never really move the knight, because then the queen just infiltrates.
Yeah.
And the bishop will always come back to f1 to defend any
Yeah.
checkmating ideas. So
maybe this is an option for white.
maybe that's an option for white, this queen d4.
Let's see what happens if I click here and click here. Does it go back to the situation where we actually are?
So yeah, he took on d5.
He took on d5.
Queen
Exactly.
d4 takes. So
Just that. And now your suggestion is, okay, let's see if it works here. Yes. Queen d4, rook e8, says Peter, but that's probably some other situation. Queen d4 takes. Aha! Peter didn't want him to take. He wanted to go back, which is of course a possibility in this situation. You can play rook e8.
Yeah.
But he took, and then the question is, what can this lead to? You think rook d6? Queen d6, sorry. And I think that makes sense. So you guys in the chat, do you have any proposals here? How should black proceed?
King f6 is dangerous, but maybe it works.
Yeah, king f6 looks dangerous. I mean, can't you just play d6 then?
Then you can d7.
King f6, d6, king d7. He played actually. Yeah, queen d6 and bishop d1, like you suggested.
I think it makes the more sense.
I think so too. And actually now it may turn out to be quite hard for black to make any progress.
I mean, you still have the majority on the king side, so you can try to push the pawns and checkmate the white king, but with the bishop on e2, it's going to be difficult.
Yeah. And also with the d5 pawn, because you can always at some point play the knight to f3, but then the queen had better come after it really fast to support it, which means that the pawn will be free to move. Yeah. Okay. So you guys in the chat, you're free to invent some ideas what black should do. We're going to do another round here and look at the other games. First, as I said, I haven't found out a way to show the standings yet, but at least I can see them myself and tell you about them. So, Erik Blomqvist, Adrian Söderström, Jungmin Seo, all on 6.5. And then there's a group below them. Actually, it's only Hampus and Vilka who can pass any of them, and they have a really drawish endgame that we saw just now. So I think they will make a draw, and Hampus will win the tournament on tiebreaks, exactly. But there are some people further down which can also come get up on the same points if they were to win. Julius Schwartz, Leo Krevatin, Bengt Lindberg som vi ser här, Johan Östlund, Ralf Åkesson, and let's have a look at some of them. Julius Schwartz, he has this position, and winning that with black may be asking a bit much, but who knows? I mean,
he played queen a3, I think, this.
Yeah.
And he traded on a3 and doubled his pawns.
Let's look at how this developed.
Look at v8, that's logical.
Yeah.
So yeah, he just decided to not defend, which I think is a good good idea, because even if you took on b2, then knight a4 is quite annoying.
Exactly. Yeah.
You go to c5.
Yeah. And now there was not a capture on b2 for the very reason that
Yeah.
you said.
So rook b6.
Yeah, and the queen backed down, and what else should it do? I mean,
Queen a4 is maybe an idea, but then you don't have knight a4.
no, exactly. Then black could have captured on b2. So now instead it turned out this way. Black slightly more active, I guess, but I mean just enough maybe to make up for the pawn.
Yeah, that's the preventing of the rook c8. Rook c8 would have been a big issue.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So bishop a6 was a good idea. And then here, all the rooks got traded off.
Knight back to c2.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not sure you would want to trade rooks here with black.
Yeah.
I mean, because your rooks were much better than the opponent rooks, right?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, was it a possibility not to? Here, after knight a4, what can you do? There are not too many places you can go to, actually.
yeah, that's the problem.
There's nothing, actually. You have to trade it. It's all covered, all on the b file as well as on the second
But
rank.
maybe you take with the bishop. So rook b1, rook takes b1,
Okay.
and then you take with bishop.
This is true. This is true. Absolutely. You can do that. But then you get like rook c7,
Rook
and then that's
c7,
the
yeah.
question of who really has the better rook. I'm not sure you do. You have it on b8, and it's not doing too much. So I think it might have been a better idea.
Yeah, it might have been the best,
Yeah.
but not a pleasant choice.
No, it's unfortunate that he has to exchange the rooks. And now he wants to exchange the bishop as well. He wants to exchange everything.
Probably wasn't very accurate, this bishop c2.
Well, maybe. Let's look. Okay, so here, what do you want to do? You can go to g6 if you like. And then you can protect your bishop by playing f5. But it's not as if the bishop is going to be very good.
You cannot go bishop d3 now. So go just bishop.
No, you're
d6.
right. Exactly, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, white wants some tempi to make it possible to make the exchange. You're right, yeah.
Now bishop g6, you go knight e1, knight c4.
Yeah.
And you're not in time.
You're right. Yeah, that could have been better for black.
Because I mean, white is out of pawn, but double a pawn. I mean, you basically are not opening anything, right?
Yeah. So what would you? So how should? I mean, white's idea is pretty simple. You try to exchange.
You trade and
You trade.
king
Yeah.
a pawn and game is still winning.
Yeah.
Even if it's a double pawn, but
yeah. But what is black's idea? I mean, one obvious thing is that you need to get your g7 bishop working pretty soon, right? So you could play first here in this position where he played bishop c2. He could have played bishop g6 or something.
Yeah.
And then, no matter what white plays, bishop f8. And the knight will have to come into c4, right, also pretty soon. Become more active.
the thing is, you have bishop pairs black and center is closed. That's the only factor that really limits this bishop pair.
Yeah.
So you can maybe have some idea of playing like f6 e5, but as long as the knight is on c3, that's obviously not possible. So maybe you go like, for example, bishop g6, and after, let's say he goes knight e1 and tries to play bishop d3, then you go bishop f8.
Yeah.
You attack the pawn, and okay, if he trades, then it's gonna be a draw probably. He just goes bishop d3. But point is that if he tries to save the pawn with a4, then you go bishop b4.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. Yeah, the white knights are not guarding each other, but what white could do in such a situation is perhaps to play knight b5 and try to attack a7. Then you can do knight c6, but then comes bishop b7. So the main problem is that actually the black pieces are not so active on the queen side, which is where the easy prey is to be found. But maybe
So he played bishop c2, but
yeah.
if you want to go knight b5, you can just go now, right? If he goes bishop c2, why do you go knight e1?
Sorry, come again?
So he played bishop c2 here.
Yeah.
If you go knight b5, how do you handle this position?
Knight c2?
So bishop c2, knight b5.
No, but he didn't play knight. He played knight e1 here.
Yeah, he played knight e1, but why not knight b5? That's the problem.
Oh yeah, you're right. Why not? Maybe because of this.
Okay, but then you go a4, right? Let's see.
And then we go back.
You go back, then we trade. And
oh yeah.
Trade follows this one.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right. That would have been even better probably. Knight b5. All right. Well, let's look at what happened.
Yeah. So bishop d3
and he exchanged.
Trade, right?
Yeah.
Knight c4.
But now it's a little bit better for white or not? I mean, now the bishop actually is gonna get into the game over f8.
Yeah, but you are up. Now you are really up a pawn, right after knight b5. Because you cannot defend it anymore.
No?
If you
What if I play a5?
So you go a5, I go a4, and then knight d4 to b7.
Let's look like this here. And a4, right?
a4.
Okay, now I'm gonna start working on my.
You should go bishop f and knight c5. No, knight c5 is problematic.
Let's do that like this, because you cannot.
Okay, but now you create another weakness on c5.
This is true, actually. Yeah.
I can just probably trade.
Yeah, so maybe not a good idea.
Bishop f and knight c5 is problematic. Knight.
How about here?
Yeah, this I was thinking about, but.
Knight b2 or not?
I think you just go back knight c3 and then still knight c5, because bishop f8, knight c5, you block this bishop b4. And you will win this a5 pawn.
Yeah. But I must find a way to at least win back one of your a pawns.
Yeah.
And what way is that? Or okay, now we can so far. I'm going to go here.
Okay.
Now I'm going to go to b4 next.
C5.
Knight c5. Okay, and what is your plan? You're going to attack my a5 pawn from somewhere, I guess?
Yeah, I have to move knight c3 knight first. So I'm probably gonna go knight b5. And yeah, I think that's the plan. Knight b5 and then knight b7.
But I think sooner or later I'm going to have to do something like this anyway. So I'm going to try it now.
Who is better?
Still I'm going knight b5.
Okay. And then if I take here.
Then I trade probably.
You have to take with the pawn, right?
Yeah, take with the pawn.
Yeah. And now I protect. Now I attack. Well, for one thing, I can win the pawn if I like, if I dare.
But
Just by taking on c5.
But the c pawn wins, I think. I think I connected correctly.
Let's try.
Takes.
Takes.
Then you play c6.
Now this guy comes running.
King b8, c7.
Then of course you have to go here.
d6, knight d6.
Ooh. This doesn't work at all. No, that was not working.
So you can't take on c5.
No. Okay, so maybe it starts looking a bit bad for black actually.
Yeah. But if you maybe you just need to run with the king, and if you're in time, maybe.
Yeah, you're right. Instead of wasting time with the bishop moves and I don't know whatever. So. Okay. He played e5.
He played e5. Okay.
After all, he thought like me that you better pull out the bad tooth straight away.
Now white is gonna take on e5 and gonna. I mean, you have very good winning chances here, I would say. Because
yeah, and you can't really attack anything here.
This knight is gonna be much better than the bishop now.
Yeah. And the white does what?
Probably you play f4.
F4 here. Okay. Take.
Takes now. Like the pawn structure is really terrible. 4 pawn islands.
Yeah. And what does?
Next, you're just gonna attack the pawn on d5, knight c7 or knight c3, and after you have to push it d4, then you play e4, and you're just gonna lose that pawn.
Well, the position is not the best.
Yeah.
Let's say that much. Okay. Well, we'll just have to find out what happens in this game. Okay, let's leave it for a moment.
Yeah.
We can look at. Let's look at the top game again because we have already decided that it's a draw. But is it really a draw? That's the question. And it should be a draw, right? Between two international masters, they shouldn't, and they have 20 minutes left. They shouldn't suddenly get the complete brain freeze out of this.
And even probably just trade the bishop knight, right? And it will still be a draw.
Yeah.
Even though a bit more, like a bit more chances probably, but yes, I mean still probably a draw.
Yeah. And then we see here this our old game that we've spent so much time on.
Yes, we did move the knight, so bishop e2, knight d7, and then queen h8. So
yes. So this is how it went. And then the queen into the corner and threatening on h7, but it's not much of a threat really. You just play h5, right? And yeah. But it also looks like it's going to be a draw, is my opinion anyway.
Knight f6. Does that work, knight f6?
Now we have to speak really loud, I think, because people are in here and talking about all kinds of stuff. So what were you saying?
Knight f6 and...
Yeah.
Okay, if you want to defend on d5, you have to play bishop c4.
Yeah.
And then probably b5.
Like this. And then here. And then like this. And then, well, I mean, you have to take it, right? And then you don't want to do that, really?
Probably like e3.
Sorry?
Like e3.
E3. And then what can white do here? Because it looks a little bit... yeah, exactly. Now it's suddenly standing where it shouldn't be at all. And now the threat is, of course, queen takes d5, taking the bishop.
Bishop c6 equal just wins, right?
Sorry, say again.
Bishop c6, you just play e2. And no,
Yeah, it looks completely finished.
Bishop c4 is probably the only move that, I mean,
how did White get himself into this? Was it necessary?
six. I mean,
Yeah, that was your suggestion. And so Bishop c4 was the idea. And
other moves just lose this d5 pawn, right?
sorry?
Other moves just lose d5.
Yeah, you don't want to lose. Well, you could also play Queen a8.
Let's take with the knight.
Yeah, you're gonna lose a pawn anyway, so doesn't work. Yeah, you have to basically play Bishop c4.
This d5 h3 looks strong. Even e3, then b5, that way even better.
Mm-hmm. E3 first.
The threat is b5 and
But then again, you can take here. If you
d5.
do a5, you just back off here.
Queen takes d5.
And then you take on a b3.
Yeah, at least you take
Yeah,
on
it looks difficult. Looks good for it looks how should the White save this? It's not obvious.
Yeah, not obvious, not obvious.
No.
Wash my clothes, then I wash the clothes, find the clothes, put back in the room. I want to change.
Well, it looks hard. We will see what Bengt can come up with. Apparently, Joar has is pretty low on time here on table 7. And yeah, this is the game that we haven't really paid too much attention to lately. But White still has the bishop on f2.
One, I mean, if anything, I think White's position has improved.
White's position has improved.
Yeah, from a couple of moves ago.
Yeah, that's true. And so this sort of a breakthrough and opening of lines on the queen side has only been helpful for White, really.
Yeah.
And well,
White's gonna slow play this, right? Play some improving move with the bishop, maybe bishop a2, f4, bishop f3.
Yeah.
You just slowly improve, and I mean, Black doesn't really have a good way.
It's true. And this will also come down to the time a little bit, perhaps. Now Tiger has 25 minutes, Joar has 5.
And I see the idea. Okay, he wants to take on c5 and then queen c6.
What? Say again? Who?
So if you play bishop e2, for example, you take on c5.
With which one?
With knight in d4. Knight in d7, sorry. And then to take queen c6.
Okay. And now you're gonna block this.
You're gonna block and play a4 and move b3.
And right now you have 3 attacks here and only 2 defenses. And if you want to defend it further, then it's not so easy to do that.
queen c3.
Yeah, queen c3. Yeah.
Then a4.
Yeah. Yeah. So this could be an active idea for black in the upcoming time trouble. Erik turn. Oi. As always with Erik, it's a strong attacking game. The last round he sacrificed a piece and it was very interesting even though he lost. And this time he has managed to put his queen on h6. Let's back down a bit. What? Have we even seen this game? I don't recognize it. We haven't seen it in a long time anyway.
Yeah, in a long time.
It's a mainline Catalan. So we must have completely skipped it. We just missed it. This is interesting. I play this as white sometimes. It always gets interesting.
I don't play this one.
No.
I played with black's bishop d7, bishop c6, and then knight d7.
Yeah.
But yeah, this one I didn't play.
No.
Knight a5, interesting, but not sure what the knight is doing there.
No, and white gets a lot of space on the king side, so this is really pretty nice to be able to play like this as white. And the Catalan bishop will have to be retired. Oh, of course, more sacrifices here. That's what you can expect from Erik. Check, and maybe it's just a pseudo sacrifice because it picks up that.
Yeah, it picks up with that.
Yeah.
Knight 6 and 3. I mean, should you take?
You mean here?
Yeah.
I guess you want to do something on the king side, so you have to somehow deal with the situation with the rooks. Then whether you should take or something else.
It's not threatened right now, right? You can just take back the queen.
Yeah, that's right. So
maybe you just play h5 and
then
you see if you trade. Because now if h5 and black don't react, then you trade. Take on c3, play queen h4, for example.
But the question is also, how do you want to break through as white? Because I mean, you can play h5 and even h6.
H5, h6.
But do you really get in? You have an extra pawn, but you want to somehow unscrew this defense there.
Yeah.
Let's see what he had in mind.
Takes, okay.
Rook c1.
I mean, that doesn't look like a logical continuation.
No, it's true. It's a bit strange. Yeah, now the pieces are moving a bit here, but what are they doing? Okay, but he attacks the pawn on c3, which lures the queen away. And now suddenly it's possible to jump in with the queen on h6. Check. And here now there's a mate threatened. Yeah, so you have to do that. h5. Queen b6 threatens on d4 as well. And then that's a pretty nice little trick. And now there's a threat of mate in one move, g7. So he has to take back. And then the rook blocks the look down to the pawn from the queen. Oh, more stuff here. You can't take now either because of f8. So the rook has to move. How could we miss this move, this entire game? Or I missed it. Well, this looks nice now because you have. I think you basically. I think you basically have to check on c1, and then the queen takes, must take, and then you can take on d7. So it's not completely over, but with down two pawns, and that's it. Okay, 1-0. Well done by Erik. Good job.
Good game. Very good.
Against Jung Yoon Seo, who is the brother of Jung Min Seo, who won his game on board 3. So now the number of games is dwindling. Let's look here. We still have this.
Yeah, this was
Yeah, the Sicilians grey, that thing that didn't really turn out.
great.
Yeah.
And he did not even check it. So yeah, he played b5, traded on c4, and doubled up on b8.
Yeah.
I mean, it does look quite nice. It does. Still, I mean, it's not clear, right?
No, it's I mean it's locked in some kind of.
It's kind of locked.
Yeah.
It maybe you. Yeah, I mean, have to triple somehow into b5 perhaps.
Yeah.
So maybe your distance can be 7, but I mean,
It's not obvious.
Yeah, not obvious. Yeah.
And also you only have these B and F files open, and the rest is just locked. So yeah, hard to know how that turns out. Tiger is still playing against UR, and we have this situation here. So instead of taking on c5, Black managed to maneuver his rook to b4, where he could attack.
And he played a4. That's fine.
Oh, just it. Yeah, that's right.
Because now the same idea doesn't work because you cannot play a4 and rook b4.
No, that's right.
So rook b4 immediately.
So this is also sort of a little bit locked. I mean, we're looking forward to when it just explodes and the situation clears. But right now it's not so clear. I mean, can you, let's say that white doesn't do anything. Can you do a, no, you cannot. Well, I was thinking if you can make a pseudo sacrifice on d4 with a knight, but I don't really think that's possible. It's going to be, you're going to sacrifice an exchange, and I don't think it's really worth it. Yeah.
But you might, the extension between the knight and d7 and c5 is kind of the key point of this entire game.
Yeah.
And you have to kind of make it work in your advantage.
Yeah.
I mean, the only way I see Black doing anything with it is to take and pick queen c6, but maybe it just doesn't give anything.
No. But
especially not now, because this pawn on a4, so you can move the queen and play bishop b6, bishop b5.
Yeah. And I mean, the time. Joar has had 5 minutes for a long time, and Tiger has had 25 before, I think, and now he's down to 15. But this is a situation where you really have to keep track of the threats and what's happening, what's going on.
It kind of roughly looks like a dynamic equality. I mean, kind of difficult to say which way you will go.
Svart hotar väl springa D slår C5 följt av dam C6. So Victor is suggesting that the threat is knight D takes C5.
Yeah.
And then D takes C5 and then Queen C6.
Yeah,
they're the kind of stuff that you were talking about before. And also, I mean, because then the A pawn will be weak, but then again the D pawn is also a bit weak, so it's not so obvious.
The thing is, the D pawn, if it becomes a pass pawn and you cannot stop it, it's gonna be very, very hard because I mean, the knight's not gonna be a-board, the rook is gonna be stuck on a4 if you take.
Yeah.
So you have to be careful.
Yeah. Okay, we'll leave it for a moment. Here we have this game again that we were talking about before, and black has actually managed to get his king across super fast to the
we run immediately.
queen side.
So
Yeah.
I think that was a good idea.
Yeah.
And
But he did not play e5. There must have been some strange effect here of the computer. I thought it said that he played it, but he didn't.
okay.
A4, king started at once, g4.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea to
Yeah.
trade and bring the king immediately.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean, it's things are happening on the queen side, so the king needs to be there.
But, I mean, white still has some ideas on the king side now.
Yeah.
With the knights, because you only have a bishop there, so and you have two knights. So if you can attack, if you can coordinate with the knights, you're not gonna be able to defend.
Yeah. So who is at the move?
Black to move.
I think white to move.
Black to move. Black, white to just yeah.
Yeah.
I think this exactly.
Yeah.
And now it's white.
And now it's white, exactly. So maybe the worst is over for black. I mean, white will. It's not so easy to attack the a pawn, for example, anymore.
Yeah.
You have to attack it with both the knights and perhaps with even more than that. Or you can try to exchange another piece. But now also the white pawns are a bit weak over on the a file. So you can't really allow yourself to do whatever. But let's say, for example, you play knight e5 now.
Yeah.
What does black do?
You can probably trade now.
Yeah.
And then picking a5, and I think you're in time to draw.
Yeah. Victor writes, maybe white can try e4 followed by knight e5. Okay, well, that's an idea. E4 now.
Yeah, I was thinking about e4.
Yeah.
I think the problem is that black doesn't really have to react to this. You can just pick king c6.
Yeah, but then the a pawn is a bit far away suddenly. No? But you can't really play knight b5 because then you can take on e4. So the problem is that white's c3 knight has several tasks at once.
Yeah, it's too overloaded.
Yeah.
What you could do is play e4 after king c6 to trade, and then you go knight b5. But then there is no more threats.
No. Or maybe you play e4, king c6, and then take on d5, and then knight e5. Whatever good that's supposed to do, I'm not sure, but which is a check, by the way, also. Yeah, so you have to do something.
Probably try it still, and then depending on which pawn you take, you either play bishop b4, you can maybe even just bring the knight back.
I think this is going to be really hard now for white to win, if even possible at all. It was a good idea to get over with the king on the queen side.
You really did that. But I mean, you have to kind of combine this idea of knight e5 with e4, I think. That I think is a good idea. How do you do that exactly?
But if you start with knight e5,
yeah.
And what do you do then as black?
Probably have to play f6, right? Or just trade.
Yeah.
f6 or trade, you have only two moves.
Okay, let's look. Let's say you go here.
Yeah, you can play f6 before knight d7, so you have to trade.
Okay. And then we take with this one, for example.
This one, king a5, I think you'll be very happy here with black.
Yeah.
Because after bishop b4, you can't even improve the king anymore because the bishop just gonna
Right.
play e1.
Okay. Let's stick with the other one. But I mean, does that really make a difference?
At least now you have this idea of if king a5, you go knight b5, knight d6.
And that didn't exist before?
You could do it the other way also, but
Well, basically, I think you can just take here. And just because you're going to win this one as well, there's no way to keep it. So, and after that, I can't imagine it's anything but draw.
it's not that clear, because if you take on a4 and I take on a7,
Yeah.
then if you go here, you go king knight b5.
You want to go here?
And knight d6. And if I can force you to play f6, then maybe I'm in time to win your pawns, because the king is much further away. I just take on f7.
Yeah. Okay, now this is a little bit of a problem.
Yeah.
Because you can't even go here with a bishop.
Yeah, you're just gonna lose.
Okay, this one this one doesn't work at all. Have we heard that again before? Okay, like this. Okay, but now I'm gonna go like here. I don't think it does. The king goes back.
Then maybe you go knight c3.
Okay.
If you go king b4, go king d3.
Okay, but I go here instead. This doesn't really work. But could you perhaps go to c7 even? That's a bit. But now I go here. And then I start maneuvering around over here and just make life hard for you.
But you can just go back and
Okay, but now I go here. And now you don't want to take on a4.
take.
Then I go here to d6.
Then I play f6.
F6. Okay, let's play that. And now I will go somewhere. I can go here, for example. But now it's becoming a little bit problematic for white that this still is on the board.
I'm gonna run with the pawn.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's not so safe.
Not clear.
No, not at all. Wow, interesting stuff. Okay, let's make a little switch here. We go to Bengt against Ralph. And here things have happened. So we were here. Yeah, and now your idea was.
Bishop c4.
Yeah, he played here instead.
Yeah, I think he saw that bishop c4 doesn't really do anything. And he decided to go c8. But now you.
So why not knight d5? No, but then comes bishop c4 and it can be a bit annoying perhaps.
Yeah. Looking design.
And now comes c4 here, smashing through. Completely new things are appearing, like that makes it so hard. Suddenly the situation changes. G5.
interesting move.
Pinning the knight. So the king unpins. No, back here. So what if you just take on d5 now? That should be possible, no? But then comes a check on c6, and then if you go back with the knight, then you can take on b6 instead. So
yeah,
a bit more safe. And here comes this one here. Anyway.
Okay, but now if you take on d5, it's a different story, right? Because you take what you play.
Yeah, but then perhaps queen takes b6.
Queen takes b6, and you have either e3 or g4.
Yeah, you have that. Well, e3, then perhaps bishop f3.
e3 which is equal d2 now. Just for that.
Oh yeah, you're right. No, but you can take with the queen from b6 on e3.
Ah, yeah, you can do that. Yeah. Interesting. Queen c6 might very well save.
Save the day for white. So guys, what do you think about this game? Bengt against Ralph. How will it finish? Will it be a draw? Or can Ralph find a way to win? Or can even Bengt turn it around? Which would be a big surprise, but we have seen big surprises before. So, yeah, quite interesting. Who knows what will happen? Okay, now there are only 4 games left. We have Bengt against Ralph. We have Leo against Julius, which we have been talking about a lot, and which is quite an interesting end game. We have Tiger against Joar, which has also been standing in more or less the same spot for a long time. And then we have, of course, Emmanuel against John Paul, which has also sort of locked in the same spot.
Quite difficult to. They traded the rooks, so that's.
Yeah, so let's see what the position is. And actually, the top has been more or less settled, but of course, we have a couple of games which have still an influence on the final standings, especially if someone wins, or only actually if someone wins. But otherwise, we have only the 5 players: Erik, Hampus, Vilka, Sipila are all right now in the lead, but since not all games are finished, it's a bit hard to say if there are any changes that will come out of the results of the final games for their tiebreaks. And then we have Adrian Söderström, Jungmin Seo slightly behind, all on 6.5 points. So we will have to see what happens with all the games. So, for example, both Ralph and Bengt can go up to the tied first if they manage to win this end game that we have been looking at a lot. And as you know, there's no extra time after 40 moves. So this is the time they have. 7 minutes for Bengt, 3 minutes for Ralph. And yeah, we'll have to see what they do.
I mean, you could, if you maybe wanted to play safe, take on c6 and just play knight d5.
Yeah.
But I don't think you're gonna win them.
I mean, can you win that way? I mean, you're stopping the c6 pawn, but are you losing? Are you losing your own e4 pawn?
It's kind of interesting because I think it's just gonna matter on one tempo.
Yeah.
So if you go let's say you trade on c6, then you go knight d5.
Hmm.
If, for example, you go bishop c4, then knight c7,
Yeah.
and then after king g3, king f5,
Hmm.
and then
But
king.
you really, in order to win, you have to get your king over to be able to capture the c6 pawn with the help of the knight. And this is hard in several ways. For example, white will be able to quite quickly play his own pawn to b5. And after that, you can't even capture the c6 pawn at all anymore.
Yeah.
So I think it's a bit too risky. Or, well, at least if you want to keep some winning chances, then you can't really.
If the knight is on c7, you cannot ever break b5. So let's say.
What do you mean?
So let's say I take on c6, then you take knight d5,
Yeah.
then you play b4.
Yeah.
Then I go knight c7.
Yeah.
If you go b5.
Yeah, you're fine. You have your bishop on e2. And you can
but-
never take it on b5 with a king because then there's a.
the pawn just runs.
Yeah, yeah. But instead, black preferred to take directly
d5.
with
I
d5.
think that's the best winning chance.
Yeah. So what will white do? Probably just take on b6. That's the only thing that really makes sense.
The choices.
Yeah. And so now if you have the e3 move up your sleeve, but it's not sure that you want to do it. Whoops!
Oh, you can do that.
You could do that.
But I mean, is that really good for you? It's e3 now.
e3, then queen f3 check.
But you're losing this game also.
Are you really? No, I think it's. I mean, it will be three pawns on either side, and like completely impossible to do anything.
Because I mean, the king is gonna end up on g2, and your king is gonna end up on g4, right? So then you just run with the king on the other way, and you're just gonna shoulder out the.
So e3,
So
queen f3, queen f3, king f3, takes f2.
Takes. King h4, king g2, g4, takes.
Yeah.
King f2, king a2, king f4, and then you just run, and you're gonna shoulder out the white king. But maybe you can.
Wow, this is an interesting pawn endgame now.
No, because you're gonna win you're gonna win a tempo first as well, because you're gonna play b5. Then the king has to go to h2, and then you play g4. So that's you're losing.
You think so?
So let's say.
Okay, kings are like black has opposition, g2, g4, and then.
I think let's try it on the board because it's
Okay.
quite difficult to calculate.
Okay, let's look at it on the board.
e3, queen f3, queen takes f3.
Hello. What? It doesn't want to go there.
Yeah.
Because some other things have happened, so it doesn't want to cooperate. So let's see here.
Takes.
Oh, so it check down there. Okay, maybe that's better. Check.
And now it's gonna be a perpetual problem.
Yeah, now it's going to be a perpetual. Exactly.
But if you play.
But okay, let's look at what we were talking about. Okay, here. It's not.
It's
the wrong person. It's the wrong person to move. That's why I doesn't want to cooperate. Okay, but let's say that white does this, which makes no sense. But okay, check.
Take, king takes, king h4, king g2, and then b5.
You don't want to do this straight away.
Not straight away, because now if you push, I push, and then you have to go to h2, so you might do it anyways. And now g4 takes.
And now you go where? Here? Or you want to go with the pawn? Now I have the opposition as white.
Yeah, problem is I was thinking b4, but then you play a4. Right?
Yes. So, and then I just keep you out.
Yeah.
But you didn't need to play b5. You can just get the opposition like this instead.
It's might.
But I don't think this is going to work very much better. It's the same thing.
Yeah, you should have to play d5 now.
So if you play b5, then I just play king d2. And if you go here, I go here, and I mean, then maybe I win. So, yeah. Well, anyway,
It doesn't work, yeah.
it didn't work.
So now it's going to be a proper short for me.
Let's see here. Yeah, this looks like a perpetual check. I mean, it will be really hard to get out. I'm not sure what you're going to do to get out.
I mean, it's just straight up impossible. If you look for it, it's going to lose.
Yeah. Okay, so that's probably a draw in this game. And now we have this. This game is also important. We've looked at it 100 times, but we can look at it 101st time because it's quite interesting.
Okay,
so black, yeah.
Bishop b4 and king d2.
Yes.
And
so now it's black's turn, and can he not just simply chop off on c3 and play a5? And what are you going to do?
Yeah,
how are you going to enter?
Just a draw immediately.
Yeah.
And maybe not. Maybe you can play king d2 and e4, but what happened?
He chopped off and took on a4 instead.
Yeah, it's gonna be a draw.
It was like this.
Black might even win now, no?
Yeah, but I don't think he will.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that looks like a draw as well. And actually, this was a draw now. They took a draw. Okay, makes sense. Here looks very drawish, you have to say. Yeah. If he had a b pawn, it would be something else, but he doesn't. So. Yeah, this will be very hard to get in now. Yeah, so this is a draw. And then we have this one, which has gone on forever without really producing anything. But here, actually, white has won a pawn. So I'm not gonna, shouldn't be so dismissive. We were here, then. Yeah, and so now white, especially now with 3 minutes against 1, should probably be able to put some pressure on his poor opponent who has defended the whole game. Yeah.
This, I think, knight j5 is gonna be very hard to deal with.
Knight j5 for black. Yeah. But now he also threatens the rook on c4, so the rook has to go to.
So you have to move.
Yeah, and also if it moves away, then you can take on a4. So perhaps you have to do something like knight e5 instead, which.
Knight e5, knight g5. Yeah. It's gonna be very, very difficult for f6 coming next. Maybe f6 immediately as well is possible.
It was like you said, yeah. Knight e5, knight g5. So what could white do now? So the problem is white is a pawn up, but has only weaknesses, and even the king is in a bit of a shaky situation.
Knight takes f3 is that right?
Knight takes f3, but then you take back with the knight.
Then you take with the rook, queen takes and queen takes f1.
Yeah, you're right. So right now, actually, what white would need to do is to put the rook somewhere safe. But then again, as we said before, then a4 is not safe anymore.
Yeah.
So there are too many weaknesses. It doesn't really work.
Rook c5, maybe if you have time to play rook c5.
Rook c5. Bishop takes, pawn takes. No, not for the better anyway.
Yeah.
Try to talk that your this bar goes up to the top of the green field.
Oh, wait.
Yeah, good. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, like
yeah,
that.
like that. Perfect. Wow, we're really nailing this at the final minutes of the
Yeah,
of
the
the show.
final game, but
Uh,
H4, F3.
H4, F6.
Yeah, that doesn't look good, huh?
No, it doesn't look easy. It's hard to know what should be doing. And actually, his time is down on 0-0, but I have a hard time understanding that should be the true facts.
It's difficult to see what to do.
Okay, something happened.
Something happened.
Rook C8 happened.
Rook C8, and he didn't.
And what's the idea? The idea is that you put the rook safely, and then came the queen here, which also threatens to go to H3.
I see F6 impossible because of knight G6 now.
Yeah.
So, okay.
So here, and then check. My God, what's happening? Oh yeah, he has to play bishop G1, so it's not over, but it does look a bit dangerous, you have to say. So what do you do now?
You don't have a spare move because rook takes F8 is mate. If you...
Oh yeah. Wow, now it's like strong attacks on both sides.
Oh no, because the queen is covering C8.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. But then the black knight cannot move, because then you take on F7 with the queen.
You take on F7. So,
What should you do? And you have like 30 seconds to make up your mind, at the most. And you can't play rook A2, which would be nice otherwise.
you can maybe just move it. But
yeah, where should you move it?
Decide try rook E1, for example.
Maybe to you can't. So only if you want to put it on the second rank, then only B1 and D1 makes sense. The others are covered at this time. Or you could play also, let's say, rook takes A4.
Yeah, but then rook takes F8.
Ah, yeah. No, that doesn't work. You can't do that. I think there's going to come like 3 moves now. Drum. Really fast.
B1 seems like a good idea, but it gives white a move, so maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe you can do something.
But there is not really many pieces you can move at all. You can't move the bishop. You can't move the any pawn. You can actually only move the queen, the rook, or the knight. And the knight you can't really move either.
Yeah, you can.
So you have to move the queen or the rook.
So rook D1, queen C2.
Exactly.
Mais le truc, c'est que comment est-ce que sur moi, je crois que c'est ici.
Yeah.
At the very least, you can go rook B2.
Yeah.
No, you can't. You can't. Rook takes F8.
No, it's the same.
Yeah.
It's the same again. Yeah.
Oh, it's a tactic. Rook takes F8.
So hey guys in the chat, what ideas do you have? What do you think Joar Östlund should be playing here? I mean, he must have played something already. I mean, time is up 100 years ago.
Queen F1, but rook takes F8. I think it's mate, right? Just immediately mate. Yeah, just mate. So, I mean, very difficult. It's kind of a mutual zone position.
It is. Let's just make sure that we have the correct position on the board. Here something happened.
Okay. No, I king H1.
Aha, he didn't actually check. What? He did like this.
Rook C3. And
just lost the game, I guess.
Yeah.
That's not brilliant.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Strange. Very strange.
Yeah, I mean,
okay.
I guess after rook E1 still there's difficulties
Yes,
to
yes.
solve, but rook c3 is
Let's
just...
look with the computer. Ah, it says 0-0 because black can go back to f5 with the queen. And what's that supposed to be good for?
Knight takes f3 is actually...
Yeah, knight takes f3. Yeah, because you're defending f7. So now comes the threat here on f8.
Knight 6 and
Look what a long and complicated variation.
f6
And then check here. Crazy stuff.
very dangerous.
Yeah. 3-4. Who could have seen this with like 0 minutes? Rook c1, my god. And take here. And then... Yeah, exactly.
Check.
Yeah. Wow. Crazy stuff.
No way to find different.
No. Okay. Tiger won this game. What a game. What a crazy game. With the impossible save at the end there. That wasn't easy to find. And then we'll just have to look at this game also. Which is going on forever. But I'm not sure actually it has an importance for the final standings. I'm going to have a look. Okay, I'm going to look here. Oh yeah. Leo Julius. Which game is this then? This is Emmanuel Sundin, John Paul Wallace. Well, they're a bit too far down. They can't make it. So actually, everything has been decided. Well, apart from this draw game that hasn't been drawn yet, but I think it has.
Yeah.
This one. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, this one is draw. No, so actually we have the results of the... and it is that Hampus Sörensen, Vilka Sipila, Adrian Söderström, Erik Blomqvist och Jungmin Seo are in joint first place. But okay, let me not be too sure, because actually the last game could possibly have some kind of impact on the tiebreaks, exactly. So I'm going to see all the games that are still left to be played, because they are further down as well, of course. That's number 6. Yeah, so a few games left. But I think that we will actually be pleased and happy with seeing everything so far. We won't follow everything to the bitter end, but we've come pretty far to the bitter end. And so congratulations to Hampus Sörensen, Vilka Sipila, Adrian Söderström, Erik Blomqvist och Jungmin Seo. And a big thank you to Mark that you wanted to come here and participate in this. Lovely.
It was fun.
Wonderful. Så vi har att tacka för oss där och tacka för er som har varit med. Så får vi se hur det blir med framtida sändningar någon gång framöver. Men kul att ni har varit med och tack för det. Vi tackar för oss från Bryssel. Thank you.